us a bit, I think.
We're going live again in a minute. We've been dancing, all women's dancing. And that was All I Am, Jess Glynn. Coming up, after we've had another chit-chat, I'm going to put Susan's mic up now, so she can talk if she wants to. Coming up, we've got Stay, David Guetta featuring Ray. We've also got Ain't Giving Up, Craig David. And we've got Your Ex, Paloma Faith. That's all coming up. I can't say when it's coming up because it depends how much talking we're going to do, actually. So I just want to give a shout out to one of our wonderful presenters, Eric, who does the show before me, and his wonderful wife Yvonne. It's their 17th wedding anniversary today, and Yvonne, you're a saint. I told him this morning that whatever's going on, I'm on your side, just so you know. And also I just want to give a shout out to my daughter Michelle and Tanya, one of her besties, and Kelly and all the girls that are going along. Well, there might be some men going along as well, I'm not too sure, but going along to see the Spice Girls today.
Wow, blast from the past.
I know. She made her own T-shirt as well with some song lyrics on, and she had her hair in bunches. I had to go and plait her hair this morning. So yeah, it's at the, I think it's the Etihad. I can't even say it properly. The Etihad Stadium with an open roof. So I hope the weather dries up for them. But if you're there, then enjoy the day. And it's a bit of a flashback to a long time ago now. 20 years, 20 plus years. So, just continuing talking about parenting, which is what we're doing today. And I said that I'd talk a little bit about psychological needs and developmental needs of children, which this is just one theory. I trained in transactional analysis, so it's something that goes along with that. And there are certain stages that our children go through as they reach a certain age. So the first one is 0 to 6 months, and then there's one that's 6 to 18 months. Then it's 18 months to 3 years, 3 to 6, and then 6 to 12. And then when we get to 12, we recycle all those ages very quickly. So if you think that it's took you 12 years to get to where you are, and then between the ages of 12 and 18 you recycle them all, you kind of go through them twice as fast. Which for me gave me a lot of hope when I was fostering, that it did matter, but it wasn't,
the end of the world.
The end of the world with some of the children that came to us that maybe hadn't had the best start in life, because if they were recycling developmental needs and psychological needs again as teenagers, it kind of gave me hope that I could, put in some building blocks so
that it wasn't too late.
Yeah.
For the older children.
Yeah, and if you are a parent of a teenager, which I am, my son's 14, and sometimes it's like there's two teenagers in the room because. Yeah, lots of hormones flying around his and mine. But you can tell with a teenager whereabouts they are, because they'll go from appearing to be like having a terrible tantrum, like a
terrible
2-year-old would, yeah, terrible twos, up to being maybe not so sure about what they want to do. So if you look at, when they're first going into reception class, sort of 4, 5, 6-year-olds where they're a little unsure, right up to being a really confident,
young person.
Yeah, well, that's it. So they're recycling everything. So they do go through one stage to another. And as a therapist, teenagers are really lovely to work with because they make changes really quick.
Yeah. And you can get the input in there quick. That again, I mean, like I said, just remember what you were like when you were a teenager. And like you said,
I was a really good teenager. You were the horrible teenager.
We all know you were the good
If
one.
Mum's out there, she'll be on my side with that, because she knows I was really good.
Yeah, now she says it's just that I was struggling as a teenager.
Misunderstood.
I was misunderstood. But I think, remembering back when I was a teenager, yeah, I would go through all that. I would have the paddies, I would, then I would be an adult. I wouldn't be a teenager. You can't speak to me like that. And of course, yes, she. Well, I was going to say yes, she could, but no, because Mum was very much like, at that sort of time, you start to get one-upmanship with your teenage children, and then you end up coming down to their level, and all you're doing is a one-upmanship, and I'll ground you for 2 days, I don't care, right, 3 days, and before you know it, they're spending the rest of their life with you.
Just say,
Sorry.
again, that is a psychological thing, which a lot of people don't know about. When, not get one-upmanship, that's not a psychological thing. But if you're parenting a child of, say, 5, you will go back to when you were 5 with a lot of your thoughts and feelings, because it kind of triggers certain things. So when I said it's like there's 2 teenagers in the house with me and my 14-year-old, it is a psychological thing where we go back to the age that our children are at certain points.
Wow.
So that is quite, do you know what I mean? It is a psychological thing.
I thought you meant with the hormones, the teenage hormones and the...
Well, yeah, it's a double whammy.
It really is.
Menopause ones, plus as well. So it's kind of like, it's really interesting when you look at it, because we go through these changes at different parts of our life. If we're feeling ill, we'll often go back to recycle when we needed taking care of when we were younger.
Yeah.
If it's our first day at work, you know, and we're quite apprehensive about things, we'll go back to that early stage where we needed help and advice and support from people. So, you know, the psychological phases are constantly being
and although you
developed all
do
the
have
time.
the adult brain to know that I'm an adult, I can go in there, I can face it and everything else, those emotions are as if it's the first day of school, like you're saying.
But often, like, you know, I've said it before, you know, our thoughts create our feelings. So if you're feeling apprehensive and nervous and it's a new day, a new job, new place, you don't know where anything is, you're going to feel, you know, slightly scared, you're going to feel apprehensive, and all those things. It goes back to maybe first day at school type feelings. And they are real.
They are real, but then again, like you say, as an adult, we have things to fall back on. I've done my first day,
Life
had a lot of it.
experience, yeah.
So when you think that, like you say, a 5-year-old, having them experience it, there's nothing to fall back on. For all they know, that is going to how they feel for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing to understand as well.
Yeah.
Through each stage.
It is, and it is communicating and open communication. And, you know, often we do try and find solutions for our children. And sometimes I see parents and children, you know, in therapy situations. And what I always say to them is just be curious.
Yeah.
Rather than making assumptions about, you know, what's happening. If you're, maybe as a parent you suffer from anxiety and you think that your child may be starting to suffer from anxiety, don't assume that they feel the same way that you do when you're anxious.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you're sad. So just be curious and ask questions. Not firing 20 questions at them with a lamp pointed at their face, you know, what's going on for you? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Which is sometimes what I tend to do. But just be curious about, you know, what's going on for you? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Am I on the right track? Check in with them and see whether what you're saying is what's going on.
And, I mean, I'm guilty of this, I must admit. A lot of the times we'll say, you'll be all right. And although we do know, they don't actually know at the time. So maybe if you can give them a little bit of a, you know, sort of, that's your teacher. You know, she looks very nice, doesn't she? Or whatever. Just give them a little bit of something to cling on to help them move to that next stage of walking through the classroom without screaming blue murder.
Yeah.
But just saying you'll be all right. They have no history to go back on to know that they're going to be all right. So maybe explain why you believe that they will be all right, because
it's one of the things that, again, you probably stick to the back teeth of hearing me saying this if you listen to this show regularly, is that we are all okay. Underneath it, fundamentally, we are born okay and we are always okay. That life throws us a curveball every now and then, and we kind of lose sight of our okayness, if that makes sense. But that's one of the things I find I'm talking a lot with my son about, and, you know, thinking about teenagers of today, the pressures are so different to what they were when I was growing up.
Massive.
If we had an argument at school, we had an argument at school and it stayed at school. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now it's on social media, it's WhatsApp groups, whether you get invited to party,
It is.
and it's really easy for us to say, just push the button and come off.
No.
But it kind of pulls you in, and then they're isolated and excluded because they don't actually know what's going on with certain people.
Yeah.
So it is a lot different to when we were growing up.
I mean, I did give advice to exactly like you say, just come off it. But the person I was talking to said, I need to know what they're thinking. I need to know where they are. I need to know if I can go down to the shop without bumping into them. And it was like, almost like punishing themselves.
Yeah. But having said that, one of the things that I say quite a lot now, and that Sari, I don't know whether Sari's watching or not, but I got this from Sari, and I love some of the things that Sari comes out with, is that what people think is none of our business.
No, and that is absolutely
people will
true.
always have an opinion, good, bad or indifferent, and we don't need to worry about what it is. And I know as an adult that's really easy to say, but as a young person it can be quite difficult.
I think even as an adult, you need to have an inner strength to be able to believe in that, because, well,
the reality is, it isn't any of our business.
No, it's
and what
not.
they're thinking is just a thought. It's not reality. It's not real. It's just their opinion, their thought. And yeah, I also say to some of my clients, which shows my age as well, I don't know if you're the same age as me, there used to be a cartoon on called Batfink, who had his wings of steel, and that's sometimes what I would like to give every young person, is wings of steel.
Yeah.
That you just bat everything off. Underneath it all, you're okay. People's opinions, what people say and do, it doesn't impact on you. It's your thoughts about it that are the thing that are impacting on you. So on that deep and meaningful thing, I'm going to have to delete another song because we've been talking for a long time.
Again.
So coming up, we've got, what have we got? David Guetta featuring Ray and Stay. Shauna's watching.
Hi,
Sue's watching.
Shauna. Hi, Amy. Nicole.
There's a microphone on there. It's not a bloody thing
On
you have to
that?
shout in. Yeah, on my phone.
Just pictures and everything,
It's
isn't
not
it?
just volume. Yeah, so it's not showing up. She's putting fingers up behind me and it didn't show up. So yeah, that's a little bit of psychological stuff. I'm going to delete a song and then we'll probably have another chat in about 20 minutes just to finish up. And I'll have to do a shout out for Tim Fernandez, who's coming up next with his Indie Rock Heaven. I always want to say house music, but it's not, and he'll shout at me. It's Indie Rock Heaven. Yeah, it's not. Shauna's saying hi. Shauna's
babe.
my niece, bless her.
My baby.
One of the offspring of my sister. Poor Shauna. Right, I'm going and we'll be back soon. Take care.